with this bandage tool over here and my spot healing brush, and I could go in and I could take all of these little spots and I could clean them off. And that would be fine. But some of them, as you can see, are lighter and some of them are darker. And I'm going to go back out to where I was here. So I'd hit Option. Oh. Sorry, minus. Go ahead and select the minus tool up here. And it's going to take me back out to where I was. And now what I'm going to do is go into my adjustments, go to something we call levels, hit levels. Now levels is a wonderful thing, and I can see here, this is where my black is, this is where my white is, and this is where my middle gray is. And I can see right here, I have some space before where it gets black. So I'm going to go ahead and move that over. And notice what happens when I do. It gets darker. And now some of those gray spots that were showing up don't show up anymore. It also increases the contrast, which our eyes as Americans tends to like a lot of contrast. So I can adjust that contrast. I can also make my whites so that they're adjusted as well. But at this point, I'm happy just making a little dark around the edges. That makes my other stuff pop. And now those little plasticky parts don't seem quite so plasticky. So now I'm going to go back in up here to this menu bar, and I'm going to zoom, and I'm going to clean off some of these white marks that aren't as obvious, as I said, as they were. In fact, I think some of them are actually on my monitor. Oops, I have to make sure I'm selected the background here. And I can do that. I may even be able to do something here that might make that look a little less plasticky. So again, but I'm not going to bother with that at this point. So all you do is, for that, I'm just using this tool, clicking on the spot, and it is hit with proximity match up here. And that means if I'm on a black space and I'm looking at a white dot, or here a green space, it will make the dot green because it's looking at what's in the area. Now this is the only place this gets really crazy is if you're at an edge. But notice how I can just go ahead and clean that, and it very smartly knows what I want to do. And I can do long strokes and I can do short strokes as long as that's what I want to change. Alright, so it's also content aware. That means it's aware of what I'm doing. Creating texture, proximity match. So those are all things. Content aware is what's been doing. I'm sorry, proximity match, I do this. Diffusion means how much it's going to be looking around the area. And sample all layers means it's actually going to be affecting all the areas. But content aware is very good. As I said, some of the problems you may have is if you're going over a line, you've got a green area and a black area and you want that to match. That gets kind of crazy sometimes, but better and better with each version of Photoshop. So let's say that this is my image. Oh, I've got to get rid of that thing. Okay. So I have it looking good as it's going to get. I go back to my magnification tool. I've looked at everything when it's magnified. I'm going to the negative and going on down to where it is. So the next thing I need to do is go back to my image size. And it's now 8.5 by 8.5 by 300. So that is its native size. So I can decide to leave it at that. If I decide I want to make it 10 inches by 10 inches, then I can go ahead hit resample, and now all I'm going to do is change that 10 by 10 by 300 because it's 2 inches or 1.5 inches actually. I know that my algorithms will be able to interpolate it and that the 300 will be fine. But if I were to do it this way and go to 10 by 10, it's really at 255. So again, not a crisis. If I can go down to 200 and still not be a crisis with my resolution. However, I will add the interpolation to it by popping it up to 300. And this gets kind of freaky, I'm sure. If this is the first time you've dealt with it, don't worry about it. Just know that you can do a little, but you can't do a lot. If I were to go down and make this, as I said, 17 by 17, and it's at 150, and I bring that resolution up to 300, that's a lot. So I have a chance of the picture looking really bad. I have the chance of the picture looking okay, but it's not going to look as good as it will if I keep it within, say, that 200 range. So again, I go to 15 by 15, it's 117. I go to 13 by 13, we're almost there. I go 12 by 12, and I'm okay. So what I'll do then is I'll go to resample, and I'll just take this up to 300, and I know that it has put in some more information to make it look good. Alright, so that's basically that. I have it 12 by 12 now. I have it ready to go, but to be professional, we're asking you to put in a 1/2 inch border around the edges. So that 1/2 inch border has to come from somewhere. Where does it come from? Go up to image and go up to canvas size, and then you have 12 by 12. So a 1/2 inch border means a white border, means I want to make it the background white. And how much do I add? I add 1 inch on each of these, so it's 13 by 13, which would give me a 1/2 inch on each side. I keep this in the middle, this target here, because if I put it here, it would put the border around those edges. If I put it here, it will have the border around those edges. So you want it to be in the middle so that the border is evenly distributed. So we're going to say OK. And there you have it. I now have a beautiful image. Well, we know that there's a little fudges here, but I have my nice image, I have my nice border, and it is now ready to print. So it's the right size. And according to my checklist, that's what we need to do. Now, here's the last thing. I want you to do a save as. If you just save it now, you will have lost everything that you did. Be gone. But if I do a save as, then I can change it. So I can change the name to Final. And I probably wouldn't want the name there. I would just have my initials, scan, because that's my assignment, Final, Photoshop. And go ahead and save it that way. And say OK. And then I'm going to do another save as, because you have to turn it in. What you're going to want to do is also save it as a JPEG. So the JPEG is here, and I hit save. And what's going to happen when I do that is it will smash the layers. So I will no longer have these layers over here. So if I go ahead and do this,